Greetings. My name is James Pirana Madonna of Megalife 21, the hardest hitting internet talk radio station on the planet, and this is Discussions. Welcome to Discussions. Another week has flown by, and we are here at the Newsletter Censored Research Center in northeastern New Jersey, and I'm here with my co-host and mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. How are you, sir?
Okay.
Good. It is Saturday, August
6th.
What the hell is it? August 6th, 2011, and I am here with me imported Blackthorn Shillelagh from Ireland, hopefully destined for the skulls of right-wing conservative fundamentalists, counterfeit Christian, phony, baloney, terrorists, fascists, whatever you want to call them, Republicans. Now, let me get my clipboard. Excuse me while I put on my reading glasses. You know how it is. And as you get older, eventually you need them. And those of you who do not like my reading glasses, you can go straight to hell.
If there was a hell.
If there was a hell. Of course, the right-wingers, the conservatives, believe in the Dante's Inferno thing and the immortal soul that flies out of your body like Superman into the sky. Oh, by the way, Dr. Bill, I want to start off very light. Not that I lost weight on the scale, but kind of humorous, but true. This past week, in northern New Jersey, which is where we are from, Rockaway, New Jersey to be exact, a female employee of Dunkin' Donuts in Rockaway, New Jersey, was soliciting prostitution from the drive-thru at Dunkin' Donuts. She was arrested eventually. So I guess she wanted her customers to dunk something else besides donuts.
She was trying to augment her wages.
At Dunkin' Donuts. Well, you know what?
A tough time.
We're going through tough times.
That's
right.
correct.
The economy. Funny, huh? Maybe the term "dunking your crawler" took on a different meaning here.
I hate crawlers.
Crawler.
Even when I ate that crap, I hate crawlers.
Well, a crawler is nothing but an elongated, cigar-shaped donut, pretty much without the hole, I guess.
Yeah, but,
well, in the case of this lady, she provided the hole for the. She provided the hole for the crawler. Anyway, I just thought that was a cute bit of news that I heard this week. All right, little consumer tirade here. You know, you see commercials on TV. You get bombarded with commercials of food industry chain, restaurant chains, and a lot of them consist of all hype. They promise you the moon, and like Jackie Gleason used to say, promise you the moon, and they give you very little for your money. But, it's all hype. Shame on you Fridays, the chain Fridays. It's all sales hype. According to personal experience and interviewing other people, you get tiny portions and you get very high prices on your drinks. They just tell you, they just brag continuously. It's typical conservative promoted capitalism at its worst. Snake oil salesmanship. Exaggerate, lie, make your product look much bigger than what it is, and then at the end the consumer gets crap. And of course now customer service is horrible.
I was at Fridays years ago. I had the hamburger and the French fries, and I don't know, it cost somewhere over $7.
Yeah.
And the only thing that was unique about it, I guess, was that they put both salt and pepper on French fries, which was interesting.
They take it upon themselves.
Well, that's how it comes.
Yeah, well, you know what? I ordered a rack of baby back ribs, and the rack was very small, short rather, and it was like I had a coupon, buy one get one free, because I'm not going to order an $18 or whatever it is dinner unless I have a coupon. I'm no fool. And I ordered sweet potato French fries like I do when I go to White Castle, and I got a little, no exaggeration, Bill, a little blob, a little pile of sweet potato fries, and a little cup of coleslaw. Give me a break. And then the other time, I ordered some chicken breast, sauteed chicken breast dinner, and I got 2 little portions of breast. And they're always coming up to your table with a big Cheshire cat grin. How'd you like your food? Is everything satisfactory to your liking? No, you people are greedy and cheap and stingy as hell. Anyway, I'm sure there are other eating establishments just as greedy and stingy and that have contempt for you, the consumer, just like Fridays does. Now, I suppose, now this whole crap that went on, we were discussing it off the air. Obama meeting with the Republicans and about the debt. I suppose, the real answer would be to tax the rich, like they did during FDR, Truman, and Eisenhower, to trim and cut the military budget, which can solve the debt possibly, if you trim the fat off of that, and end Wall Street bailouts, which is welfare for the rich. That would solve the problems. Now, did any one of these things take place this past week with the voting in Washington?
All those things were off the table.
Off the table.
And we would never have had this discussion if we did not give trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars to Wall Street, to the rest of the world, etc., etc.
Interesting.
Okay.
And now I hear the credit of the United States is crap.
Yeah, I have a little thing on that.
You have something on that now. So I guess a good title for this show might be Obama joins conservative corporatists in screwing, quote unquote, the little guy.
Well, Obama has always been a corporatist. He hasn't just joined them. And remember, Mr. Obama had nothing to do with that. He doesn't make laws. Congress makes laws.
Right, but why does
he was there only to give support or say, hey, I'd like this, I'd like that. But he doesn't make laws. But
people have a tendency, just like with professional sports, baseball, football, if the team screws up, they blame the manager, the guy on top, gets the blame. When the Yankees were blowing the playoffs with Joe Torre, people were holding Joe Torre accountable. The Steinbrenners blamed Joe Torre, poor Joe Torre. What about the jabronis, the prima donnas on the field that weren't doing their job? You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on. It's not always the guy on top. He has a Congress and a Senate to work with. Now, you idiot lemmings out there voted in a conservative Republican Congress last November. You middle-class people that don't do your homework and don't do your research and really get to know how your country works and what's really going on behind the scenes. Since you don't do your research and your homework, what did you do? You believed the conservative Tea Party lies. And look what you got. Now you blaming Obama? Obama inherited the biggest mess, possibly, the biggest mess in United States history after 8 years of G.W. Demon Bush. Not to be confused with the demon Ronald Reagan, who shifted the tax burden from the rich to the middle class and the poor back in the 1980s. Your hero. Not such a hero. Anyway, so you were telling me that what happened this past week was nothing but conservative Republicans holding the United States hostage?
Hostage to get what they want, which is spending cuts to the discretionary budget, which includes, welfare and Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and all the programs that help the needy and the middle class and small business, etc., etc.
So all the cuts that Republicans are always screaming about and crying about are never including the military budget, and they don't include welfare for the rich
No.
in Wall Street bailouts.
No.
They always include money to help the poor and the middle class becoming the poor, the new transition of middle class becoming the
poor. We see
poor.
it going on in all the states, in Wisconsin, in Florida, in Ohio, and all over Texas, and with these Republican governors. They're trying to destroy unions. They're trying to destroy the working person, and they're destroying their states.
So it's always the blame of the poor. The little guy is always to blame, according to conservatives in Washington.
Rhode Island
States.
has gone bankrupt.
I heard about that.
It wanted its cops, its firemen, its people who had been paying in for all these years into their pensions. They wanted to cut them all in half.
So they can't make enough money selling clam chowder to tourists? Up in Rhode Island, oh, I love it. Newport, Rhode Island, oh, it's a beautiful state. Providence is okay, you know. They got some funny names up there. Woonsocket, Rhode Island.
Indian name.
Woonsock. Socket.
Woonsocket.
Well, the most embarrassing name for a town would be Coxsackie, New York. It's going up towards Woodstock, upstate.
How about Intercourse in Pennsylvania?
Blue Balls, Pennsylvania, and it's an Amish country. Intercourse, Pennsylvania. Well, Bird in Hand is not bad. It's cute. I've been there. It's very nice. I don't know why they call Amish country a couples getaway vacation for couples.
Ooh.
It's absolutely, you have absolutely nothing to do but have sex because there's no nightlife.
That's why it's a couples vacation.
All you see is rolling hills of corn, and it's very picturesque. Good for postcards and you know, greeting cards. It's beautiful, but no nightlife at all. So I guess you're pumping away.
That's the nightlife, and for breakfast,
Hold on.
For lunch you get a honeymoon sandwich. Let us alone.
You know what? This guy, I never heard that before. Let us alone. Here. The shillelagh gets a lot of exercise in Amish country. Okay,
Hopefully.
That's why it's a couple's getaway. Peace and quiet and nothing to do but screw. Hey, that
Have
rhymes.
a bird in hand.
Bird in what?
Had to have a bird in hand.
You know the sign that says bird in hand is actually two hands, like the Allstate commercial with a bird sitting in it? But I tell you, the best breakfast I ever had was at a place called the Amish Barn in Boyd, Bird in Hand, Pennsylvania. It was all you can eat. I had freshly homemade scrapple. I had blueberry pancakes. I had the eggs. I had, oh man, the breakfast sausages, which are actually a sage flavored pork sausage. That's what makes them breakfast. They were thick. These were big ass breakfast links. I enjoyed it. I love a good quality, all you can eat, but good food, you know. But anyway, Rhode Island can't make money selling clam chowder anymore, or quahogs, or whatever those clams are. That's what the chowder clams are. They went bankrupt, and the United States is on the verge of such, right? But you're saying that they're covering up the severity of the condition of America, just like they cover up the unemployment percentage figures?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay, you got an article here about
after my first one here.
Okay.
After my lead-in article. Yeah.
All right, lead-in article.
Texas. The attorney for convicted polygamist sect leader Warren Jeffs and jurors should consider his client's strict fundamentalist upbringing before punishing him.
Oh, God.
Wait a minute.
Strict?
It's funny you brought in...
Strict fundamentalist upbringing to be a polygamist?
It's funny you brought God into the conversation.
When did I do that?
Just now you said, oh God.
Because he's saying he's taking a holier than thou attitude towards polygamy.
Jeff,
a religious
on Friday, walked out of his sentencing hearing after reading a statement that he said was from God.
Oh, like G.W. Bush used to talk to God?
The statement promised a whirlwind of judgment from God if Jeffs wasn't set free.
Really?
Jeffs never returned to the courtroom. He faces up to 119 years in prison after being convicted on 2 counts of sexually assaulting his underage followers.
He was breaking them in. He was busting their cherries. So he wants a harem, basically. He's he's a Mormon, right?
Yeah, he's a Mormon, and he's doing what they did in the old days, polygamy.
But
he's got many wives.
He's married to them?
Yeah, he's got many wives, and
probably concubines.
Breaking in these young girls too.
Like a baseball glove, breaking them in, and he's probably. I bet
to be oiled down, nice, you know.
Oil him down with linseed oil.
That's right.
I'm sure he has his, just like the old guys of the Bible. I'm sure he has his concubines, his mistresses, and everything. You know how hypocritical these religious nuts are, right-wing fundamentalist religious nuts. You know, they're.
If I were a polygamist, I don't think I could handle 2 of them, let alone 15 or whatever.
If I was a polygamist, old James over here, a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, for the first week, and then after
can
that,
handle a squillion of them. Believe me.
Oh Lord! Oh Lord!
See this shillelagh? Symbolic. More things than one. Anyway, so continue.
Credit rating agency Standard & Poor's on Friday downgraded the United States credit rating for the first time in the history of the ratings. The credit rating agency said that it's cutting the country's top AAA rating by 1 notch to AA+. The credit agency said that it is making the move because the deficit reduction plan passed by Congress on Tuesday did not go far enough to stabilize the country's debt situation.
Is that so?
A source familiar with the discussion said that the Obama administration feels the Standard & Poor's analysis contained deep and fundamental flaws. Standard & Poor's said that in addition to the downgrade, it is issuing a negative outlook, meaning that there was a chance it will lower the rating further within the next 2 years. It said such a downgrade to AA would occur if the agency sees less reductions in spending than Congress and the administration have agreed to make higher interest rates or new fiscal pressures during this period. Standard & Poor's first put the government on notice in April that a downgrade was possible unless Congress and the administration came up with a credible long-term deficit reduction plan and avoided a default on the country's debt. After months of wrangling and negotiations with the administration, Congress passed the debt reduction package this week at the 11th hour that averted a possible default. In its statement, Standard & Poor's said that it had changed its view of the difficulties of bridging the gulf between the political parties over a credible deficit reduction plan. Standard & Poor's said
credible.
It was now pessimistic about the capacity of Congress and the administration to be able to leverage their agreement this week into a broader fiscal consolidation plan that stabilizes the government's debt dynamics anytime.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Now.
Yeah, sure. Credible, stabilized, yeah.
I'd like to add something.
A bunch of superheroes, they think they are. Yeah.
Back in 2008, 2009, 2007, you know, when the financial meltdown struck this country under George W. Bush, Standard & Poor's, Fitch, Moody's, they all rated those toxic assets that the banks were chopping up and selling, you know, credit default swaps and all that crap.
Yeah.
They rated them AAA. So what the hell should we take this serious from Standard & Poor's? They rated crap AAA. that sucked people into buying this garbage.
I think the word "poors" in Standard and Poor's
Guess what?
is very appropriate for today's economy, where while more mainstream Americans are becoming poor,
And guess what?
poorer, yeah.
Nobody got punished. No one.
But a little guy committing any kind of a crime would surely get punished.
Absolutely.
You know, and like I said before, all the cuts are for the little guy. None of the cuts are for the, let's say, not only corporations paying their fair share in taxes and rich people, elitists paying their fair share in taxes, but what about the salaries of congressmen and senators? $175,000 a year with free health care and free retirement? Give me a break. They can afford to pay for their own health insurance and retirement. They're public servants. Why aren't they taking a pay cut? I don't see it. Wall Street bailouts, welfare for the rich. Okay, it's okay to give the rich welfare in terms of corporations, and whatever happened to, you know, the free market capitalism, you know, your company fails because it's your own fault. You let it fail. Listen, helping corporations and the rich does not, and most likely will not create jobs in the United States, because your jobs will be outsourced. In this case, to mainland China, because I have a feeling that the outsourced jobs to India are probably being re-outsourced to mainland China.
And of course, that 35% or more of the Republican Party that calls themselves Christians,
Yeah.
it's quite astounding that their Bible, that they supposedly get their laws and tenets and rules from, says that you should never give to the rich.
Yeah, the Bible's loaded with verses that are pro-poor and anti-rich, and commanding the rich to sell their possessions and to give and help the poor. It's loaded with it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the right-wing conservatives.
How do they get away with this?
How
do they get away with this?
They can. To me, trying to rewrite the Bible is a form of corruption. It is. It's an abomination. I mean, it tells you right at the end of the book of Revelations, whoever adds to this book or takes away from this book is in big trouble. You know, this is in layman's words. You know, but they try to do it, but I don't pay attention to it because it's not the word. You know, it's what they want it to be, because they're following the devil, the Satan's.
Yeah,
the devil.
We have to pay attention to it because they are putting this crap into the laws. They are in power with these ideas.
But if the American people
we are in trouble.
But if the American people are too stupid and blind to see it,
well, they are.
You know, apparently they are. They voted in a Republican Congress because, there you go again, like I said before, they put all the blame on the one man on top, on President Obama. It's all his fault. When I do promo, I'll talk about my experience Thursday evening on Time Warner Cable, on the Irwin Benz and Carl Richards show.
I thought it was Morgan and Paul.
No, the hosts of the show. Yeah. Well, Morgan, Paul, and Ken Create and myself, yours truly, were guests on the Time Warner Cable show in Port Jervis, New York. And the hosts of that show, the guys behind the desk, behind the microphone, Dr. Bill, happened to be Mr. Irwin Benz and his partner, co-host rather, Carl Richards. Now, www.carlrichardsband.com. He's big into country western, and you might appreciate that.
Yeah, I saw them sitting there at the desk,
listening
to country music at the beginning of the show.
The theme song was Country. What is it?
Country Roads.
Was that
by someone else?
Yeah, that was sang by. No, it was an instrumental version of Country Road.
There were voices there too. I I was watching the video in a chopped up version, of course, because my streaming is not streaming.
That was
whatever.
John Denver sang that song, right?
Yeah, but that wasn't John Denver.
No, it was a generic
chick or something.
Well, I guess they don't want to get sued, copyright infringement. Anyway, in the vehicle, in the car coming back, Morgan Paul and Ken Create were just trashing left and right President Obama, saying horrible things about him and putting the blame on him, which is what nincompoop Americans, I tell it like it is. You're talking about James, this is James Pirata Madonna. Morgan Paul and Ken Create can get mad all they want. I'll tell it like it is. They were unfairly trashing President Obama, putting the blame on him. Just like they would blame the manager of a baseball team for losing the playoffs. Same deal.
What about the Republican agenda to make him fail? Did they mention anything about that?
No, because they're unaware of it. And when I tell them about it, they blow me off. It's like, marching in lockstep,
then I'll tell you what
like drones. What is it with them that they want conservatism to control America? Is it the conservative propaganda that wins them over?
Oh, obviously it is. Or there's some sort of deep-seated dislike for the president. Could it be because he's black?
And they want him to fail because he's African American. Well, he's mixed race, of course, but if you're half African American, everybody seems to focus on the African American half, and not
in this instance.
Look at the man for what he is, his talents, his knowledge, his abilities. Right away. Yeah, I think there's a lot of Americans that want him to fail. And even if he was let's say he was a white Democrat, a white progressive liberal, which I don't think there's many of those left,
no.
They would want him to fail also, because it's all about greed, it's all about the bottom line. And what about people that claim to be Christian, these so-called born-again holy rollers that claim to be Christian and claim to be compassionate and do fundraisers, and things like that, and do good works and proselytize and try to save everybody's soul, but meanwhile, are they doing it for the right reasons? Is there a selfish underlying agenda?
Yeah.
Perhaps.
No, not perhaps, yeah.
Perhaps. I tell you, no show does what we do. We pull no punches, and we pull no shillelaghs either. Tell me, lay it on me, brother. What is your take on what I said?
Well, it's all corrupt, you know that.
About underlying agendas by people who get on a soapbox a little too much and get a little too dramatic about their faith.
Well, all of that stuff is vanity, obviously. Vanity, vanity, all is vanity.
Trying to supposedly go out and have to witness all the time.
Yeah.
And what does witnessing mean? Like tap people on the shoulders and bug them? Basically?
Yeah, like coming to their house at 10 o'clock Saturday morning.
10 o'clock?
Yeah.
Do you mean Jehovah's Witnesses? Jehovah's Witnesses rang my doorbell one time at 7 a.m.
Oh, my God.
You know what I did? I knew it was them. I went to the door in my underwear.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Mr. Weiner.
Brother Weiner, Anthony Weiner, former congressman of New York, Anthony Weiner. No, that was Bill Clinton that interviewed a woman in Little Rock, Arkansas, I think at a hotel, and when the woman opened the door, his pantaloons were already down.
That's what they say. They never proved that Paula, whatever.
Paula, what a big schnozzola she had. Paula, whatever the hell her name is. I think Bill Clinton has better taste.
At that time, you got to remember,
better taste.
At that time, the vast right-wing conspiracy, were forming things against Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
They weren't.
Like Monica.
David Brock exposes all of this.
And the blue dress.
Same with the Anita Hill thing. I mean, that was all bullshit too against her.
Yeah, she was a nice piece of ass.
Let me get this one
Yeah,
in before.
get that done with, because sometimes we get off the track. But anyway, yes, beware of people who are too good to be true, who are too dramatic, too passionate about religion, about Christianity, about, well, maybe any religion. You know, could be a selfish agenda behind that thing. You know, look at charities. Perfect example. The United Way. Didn't the head of the United Way get busted?
Got busted, and they also found out that the vast majority of the money does not go to where it's supposed to go.
A vast majority does not go to the charity.
And that goes for most charities.
Does not go to the
Believe
charity.
me.
There's the so-called administrative fees.
Uh-huh.
The best way to deal with a charity, if you are a philanthropical,
It's
generous...
happening in Haiti right now. The $3 billion or $3.5 billion given to Haiti, they don't know where the hell the money is. And nothing's
Really?
been done. It's what? It's about 3 years now since the what was it? The earthquake over there?
The corruption?
Yeah, it's totally corrupt.
Well,
There's no central government per se.
Did you know that the United Way has done fundraisers for Haiti? Isn't that funny?
But
Isn't
the
that
money
peculiar?
but the money ain't going to the people.
The money's not going to the people. Where's it going? Hey, yeah. Well, the head of the United Way at that time was...
It's going to Swiss bank accounts. That's where it's going.
Beware of people laying it on too thick with their compassion and their Christianity. Beware, brother. Satan comes often as an angel of light. Remember that. Anyway, finish up on this.
The impact of a series of eruptions on the sun began arriving at Earth on Friday and could affect some communications for a day or so.
Yeah.
Operators of electrical grids are working to avoid outages, but the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says some satellite communications and global positioning systems could face problems.
Yeah.
3 solar flares erupted on the sun starting Tuesday, and the strongest electromagnetic shocks were being felt Friday by the ACE spacecraft, a satellite that measures radiation bursts a few minutes after they strike Earth.
Excuse me for the noise. Our office is very busy today.
Tom Bogdan, director of the center, said the sun is going from a quiet period into a busier cycle for solar flares, and an increase in the number of such blasts is expected over the next 3 to 5 years.
And with the holes in the ozone layer, despite what Republicans say that it's a myth, it's not going to be good for the Earth.
Solar flares send out bursts of electromagnetic energy that strike the Earth's magnetic field. The most common signs for average person are the glowing auras around the Earth and South Poles, and researchers said those could be visible this weekend.
Wow.
The magnetic blasts, which Bogdan likened to a tsunami in space, can affect electronic communications and electrical systems. A 1989 solar flare knocked out the electrical systems in Quebec. But the current solar storm is not expected to be that powerful. On a scale of 1 to 5, he said it is probably a 2 or a 3. Now, what is problematic here, of course, is that they are saying that this activity is going to only increase in 2012. And our power grids are vulnerable. And backup generators will not do it. There's like a 3-year waiting period to get these things from China.
Outsourced to save money on labor. There's your corporate America, mainstream. There's your lovely patriotic Yankee Doodle dandy corporate America, privatize everything, outsource everything where the labor's cheap. You see how long you would have to wait? The last time the grid went down, the big grid in the Northeast went down, people could not even use their cell phones. How you like them apples?
You know, there were two of these big.
What were people?
I don't know if they're solar flares or whatever, but 1859 and in the 1920s, I think 1921 or so.
Mm-hmm.
We had but of course, people were not as dependent then on electricity as we are today with the big grid and everything.
Yeah.
You see, that's another example. You know, when we talk about health and we talk about food being locally grown and locally consumed, it's the same thing with electricity, I think. This big grid that goes all over North America, this is baloney. It should be localized. Each grid should be local.
Just like,
therefore not vulnerable.
Just like every region of the country should have plenty of local farming and livestock produce, organic, certified organic, local, like the old days in America. Local, local, local. We don't have that anymore because we got to have the big corporation monopolizing everything. Greed, greed, greed. The devil's economics. You know what? In 2012, I'm curious to see how Americans would survive if the grids went down and they couldn't use their smartphones. All these momos you see walking around hypnotized by their phones, touchscreen, bleep, 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 Androids, Blackberries, Dingleberries, Huckleberries, whatever fucking berry, goji berries, whatever you want to call them. Bloop, 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 bloop. They don't even know the environment. They don't even look around. They don't notice people. They don't deal one-on-one with people anymore. It's like they
have to text them.
They're oblivious. Oh, what? Is this guy talking to me? You have a smartphone? You should be texting me. You should not be speaking to me. No, I cannot speak. I must text. I must text. I must text. Boop, 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 boop. Like a Twilight Zone episode. You know, I mean, come on, man. You know.
Well, a lot of people will die if that happens, okay? There'll be no refrigeration, there'll be no lights, there'll be no nothing.
No air conditioning?
No air conditioning.
Holy shit. Oh, I can't take, I hate the humidity, man.
Oh, if it happens in the summertime, what about if it happens in the wintertime?
Oh boy, even worse.
Uh-huh.
Believe it or not, as much as I hate hazy, hot, and humid in the winter, what if we get a nor'easter, and what if we're buried blizzard after blizzard after blizzard, and all of a sudden the grid goes down?
Well, that's what it says.
And those that do not have old-fashioned wood-burning stoves established in their homes,
and a cord of wood,
if they still have a home,
you know, stored up for the winter.
If they still have a home, yes, of course. In a shed, nice and dry, cured, nice. Yeah. How much is a cord of wood? Is it big?
I don't know.
No, they might need more than that.
It's a lot.
I mean, to make it through the winter, you would need more than that, right?
Need more than that, certainly.
So if you don't have this wood-burning stove and all the other wonderful things that you can do with a big wood-burning stove, maybe put a cast iron pancake griddle on top, and maybe a chicken fry or a cast iron pan with you know, lard in there for deep frying, and have it all set up nice. If you don't have that, you got problems, man. You got big problems. But of course, people believed, conservatives like Rush Limbaugh, saying that the holes in the ozone and the whole environmental issue is all a myth perpetrated by environmentalist wackos, as he liked to call them.
And of course, under Bush, they defunded the EPA and they put in incompetence so that the couldn't be run properly, etc. You know.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break, and of course, my co-host, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, will partake in his lunch, in his gastronomic delight, and then I will do promo. And then I would start off promo by talking about what a great time I had Thursday evening, this past Thursday evening, and thanking the people that invited me. All right. Hello there. We're back. Well, when I say we're back, we're really not back from the break. We just had to briefly cut off. Right now, my co-host and mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, is partaking in his gastronomic delight. He's having lunch, which will be followed by high tea, high green tea. Now, before I start promo, I would just like to thank the gentleman who invited myself, the Renaissance Man Can Create, and one of his business partners, Mr. Morgan Paul, on their show, Channel 23, Time Warner Cable, up in Port Jervis, New York. Irwin Benz and Carl Richards are the hosts, and I want to thank them both. Originally, Mr. Irwin Benz, who is a former New York Police Department, a former New York City police officer, retired now, is the individual that first invited me, and supposedly I think what happened was a good friend of Can Create, I believe Mr. Pete DiLorenzo first introduced Irwin Benz's show to Can Create, and he in turn told me, and I corresponded with Mr. Irwin Benz for a while on Facebook, and lo and behold, we were invited. We were booked on a show. It was this past Thursday, and we had an absolutely wonderful time. It was a blast. I want to thank Mr. Irwin Benz and his co-host Carl Richards for having us on their show, and it was really great. Carl Richards is big into country western music, I believe. Yes, his website is www.carlrichardsband.com, and Irwin Benz is of course the president of Benzie Promotions, and he has a website which happens to be on the video that is on YouTube now. Okay. Yes, it is. It's actually, I have it in the Can Create playlist. You can find it on YouTube. It's titled, well, it's my filming. Of course, there's the official filming for Time Warner that Irwin Benz and Carl Richards has in their possession. But my filming for the internet is titled Can Create, Morgan Paul and James P. Madonna, on a Time Warner cable.
I think it's opposite of that. I said something like James Madonna, Morgan Paul, Can Create.
No, I didn't.
Sure?
No. I'm
to me like Can Create came third.
I'm humble. No, I am a humble guy. Can Create.
Servants of God.
Yeah, right. Can Create hyphen Morgan Paul and James P. Madonna on Time Warner Cable, and just go to YouTube, or no, just go to Google, type in Megalife 21, and the title I just said, and watch it. You know, the show is there. I also posted it, on Facebook, and I probably will put it on live stream. Our live stream channel is www.livestream.com/Megalife21. But the ride up there was enjoyable. It's way up in the corner where Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York State meet each other. Port Jervis, New York. It's by the Delaware River, and you have to drive through very picturesque farmland. You drive through Sussex County, New Jersey. You see lots of mountains, lakes, trees, lots of forests, and you eventually see a lot of farmland when you get up to the corner, up near the border. Rolling hills, mountains, lots of corn, lots of livestock. It's very pretty. You see horses and cows, mostly, and they're grazing right by the road. So but it's very pretty. Anyway, we want to thank them. We're trying to get a TV tape professional wrestling show going up there. Their Time Warner Cable productions go nationwide as well as locally in Orange County, New York. And I'm trying to get something going with a promoter that I know. And hopefully, God willing, I will be doing color commentary. Usually, I always say with Irwin Benz and any guest commentator that wants to come aboard. And supposedly, Ken Create is doing entertainment for the children, keeping them busy at the event. You know, could be any building with a high ceiling and reasonable amount of seating capacity. Usually high school gyms are ideal. Now, this gentleman right next to me, this is a self-portrait of the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. Okay, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman is a fine watercolor artist. You can see the William J. Eisenman collection by going to the William J. Eisenman Facebook profile page, or go to his website, www.newslettercensored.com. If you see something you like, email him to find out if it's available. And if it is, you can purchase one. The bidding starts at $500 each. And this is a sample of his watercolor art. Also, I know I showed you the past 2 weeks, but I will show you what it looks like in frame. And this is the... I mean, he has... Actually, I have to show the other one. The abstract. Where is the abstract? The one that I did not show. It's right under the clipboard? Okay. Anyway, this is the personal assistant to the Wizard Azibuko, Esmeralda. I know I showed it the past 2 weeks. Last week was finished, but this is how it looks in the frame. Now, should I raise it, lower it?
Down just a bit. Up a little bit. Somewhere's around there.
Wait, well, when is it going to be?
Right there.
Right there? That is what Esmeralda looks like in the frame. All right? A lovely, recently finished watercolor painting, a portrait of Esmeralda, the lovely Esmeralda. Now, I have to show you a abstract that excuse me, people, well, I get it. Now, is this the new?
It's not done.
It's not done yet. Okay, so I will not show it. Oh boy. Okay. Man, he's got this shit buried. He's got this shit buried. Now, the one I showed already, you would know it. Excuse me. Oh boy. This one, I don't know if I showed it yet. This is done, right?
That's done.
All right. Okay, here is another watercolor painting by the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, landscape. Am I holding it properly?
Move it just
Like that?
move it toward Billy.
Like that?
Toward Billy a little bit. Okay, there you go.
Like that. All right. See?
Yeah,
Got it?
Yeah. Down a little bit. Okay, yeah, right there.
All right. Landscape. Recently done by the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. I'm just going to show all of them because I know All right. Abstract painting, number 1. Recently done. William J. Eisenman. Watercolor art. All right.
Down a little. Okay.
Got that?
Yeah.
All right. Another abstract. Another abstract painting. Got that?
Yeah, that's good.
William J. Eisenman watercolor art.
Up a little, up. Okay.
The William J. Eisenman collection. Got that? And then last but not least, another abstract painting.
Up a little. Up, down a little. Okay.
William J. Eisenman collection, watercolor art. The last abstract painting, the recent paintings by William J. Eisenman. Now the landscape, was that the landscape? Or was there another one? Well, the other one's not done.
Not done.
Not finished yet. Okay. Alrighty, so let me just bring this stuff down like it was, because you had the fucking thing buried. Woo. You had it buried, Now to the backbone of the organization. See this here? It's newsletter Censored, founded in 1977. This is the very backbone of our organization. Founded in 1977 by my co-host and mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. It discussed the 5 taboos of American life, which is politics, religion, health, human sexuality, and child rearing. Okay, there's nothing like this in the mainstream media. It's one of a kind. It's the kind of information that most people are afraid to hear. Can you handle it? And it begins with, in this case, it's the new issue, 116 volume. This Country Was Never a Christian Nation by William J. Eisenman, Ph.D. Sometimes it's followed by tidbits, which is pretty much current news topics, but this was a long article. In this case, we have The God Project by William J. Eisenman, Doctor of Divinity, where the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman tells you what the Bible really has to say, not what right-wing fundamentalists, conservatives tell you what the Bible has to say. Counterfeit Christians that do not know their Bible, they only thump it. Okay, there's a difference between...
Maybe they know it, but they don't want you to know it.
No, they don't want you to really know it. They want you to know their made-up, selfish agenda version of the Bible. They know. They know. They know it's
God's attitude towards the poor. They know it. So what they're doing is totally opposite.
Didn't the Roman Catholic Church do this centuries ago?
Well, yeah, they converted by the sword, killed 50 million people.
And they wanted
in their endeavor.
And totally, yeah. And they wanted, and they supported the European colonization of the New World. And when they stole everything from Native Americans and tried to commit genocide with them, yeah, you know, guys like what's his name, Francisco Pizarro, the conquistador, piece of crap, piece of shit he was, wicked, evil son of a bitch, and Cortez and the rest of their ilk. Yeah, they had a representative of the Roman Catholic Church with them, you know, and convert by the sword. That was a form of right-wing fundamentalism, right?
The Holy Roman Empire always had the church behind it.
Yeah, that was fascism and Christianity combined, right? But that's okay. But if the poor Haitians and the poor Caribbean people happen to, you know, let's say practice their Christianity with a little bit of traditional earth religion from Africa, like voodoo, right away they're no good. They you know, like Pat Robertson says, oh, the people of Haiti, they were punished by the massive earthquake by God because some of them believe, you know, practice voodoo and everything. But it's okay for hypocrites in the medieval Vatican, medieval Europe, to practice their cruel, torturous, fascist version of Christianity with the greed of colonization and robbing cultures.
Well, as that gentleman who
right?
said that criticized this latest article, he said that the Pilgrims or whatever, they came here for religious reasons because they couldn't practice their religion wherever they came from. Yes, they did do that.
But then they
did the same thing that you're talking about. They oppressed those who were not of their religion.
So they did the same thing to others that was done to them in merry old England when the Pilgrims, the Puritans came to New England, which is now New England, and they ended up screwing over the Native Americans in the area who compassionately helped them at the beginning, and they in turn became the same hypocritical right-wing fundamentalists, religious nuts that, you know, everybody that was not like them and did not believe what they believed was no good.
And then when that was not good enough, they went after the witches.
Right, the Salem witch
Total
trials.
fantasy pathology.
The hysteria that went on at the time. But if you're not like them, if you're not, you know, these are Bible thumpers, not Bible knowers. If you're not like them, then you're no good. So they're judgmental, they self-righteous.
When they get into power.
When they get into power.
And that's what they express.
So they end up doing... See, this is part of the problem of a country having a revolution to cleanse its evils. Sometimes the people that take over in the revolution just replace the evil that was there and become... Like, perfect example... Okay, I'm sure things were really horrible in Cuba when, what was his name? General Batista?
Batista.
General Batista was there. But then Castro took over.
But at that time it was great for corporations.
When? Batista?
With under Batista, yeah.
Oh, so he was pro-elitist.
Pro-business, baby, and America.
Pro-America, pro-business. Oh, of course the United States government liked General Batista. With the evils, devil's economics going on over there.
That's how Fidel started out. Fidel started out as a populist, for the people.
For the people.
Right.
And then things changed.
And it always changes when people get into power.
And then when they get into power, the people of Cuba got screwed. So one evil took over the other. So Satan, you know, he was doing his work. He was making sure that a really fair form of Karl Marxism did not take place, a socialism rather, and it wasn't done properly the way it was supposed to be. It got corrupted, and so you know, it's all prophesized, right? Dr. Bill, the end times, the Bible prophesizes the fall of the modern day descendants of ancient Israel, Ephraim and Manasseh, which is Great Britain and the United States. It's all prophesized. Oh, here we go. Last but not least in the newsletter, Sexuality, a Holistic Approach by William J. Eisenman, Ph.D. We won't get into that. It's pretty deep.
It's funny you should...
More ways than one. No, seriously. Seriously.
It's pretty deep because it's discussing fisting.
Yeah, we don't want... Yeah. Let's leave it at that. Yeah, fisting. Fisting is fisting like a... Is fisting like a crude economical replacement for a butt plug?
Oh my goodness!
A butt plug? No, okay.
Butt plug is much smaller than a fist.
And kinder and more gentler? A kinder, more gentler form of
Hey, I've never
fisting.
been fisted. I don't know. I quoted some ladies in there, on fisting.
I've seen it in porno movies, fisting, and
oh yeah, sure.
It looks incredibly uncomfortable to the eye. What?
I'll take their word.
I don't know what to say. I don't know. I just didn't think that the human apparatus.
Hey, a baby's head comes out of there.
Not out of the ass, not out of the anus.
Well, you're not fisting, not.
Oh, you're talking about vaginal fisting.
Vaginal fisting, yeah. Well, anal fisting is mostly done when it's done is amongst male homosexuals, not.
Well, because they have no choice.
Not the females.
They have no choice. Now, last Thursday at Irwin Ben's and Carl Richards show, the Channel 23 Time Warner Cable in Port Jervis, New York. What happened was, I know you had problems with the internet, so you could not see the whole show.
8 seconds.
It started off by them...
And then buffer. 8 seconds, buffer. 8 seconds, buffer.
It started off by Irwin Benz and Carl Richards interviewing yours truly, James Piranha Madonna. Then it was followed by some singing by Morgan Paul. Also accompanying Morgan Paul was The Renaissance Man Can Create. And then what happened was they interviewed, Irwin Benz and Carl Richards interviewed Ken Create and Morgan Paul. Mostly it was Morgan Paul. Ken Create did not really get interviewed. Unfortunately, they ran out of time, so the next show they will interview.
Ken Create is a mime, is he not?
No, he does a lot more than that. Believe me, he does a lot more than that. You know, as soon as you see a Ken Create performance, you ain't seen nothing yet. Now, next time they go back, well, actually, next time it will be Ken Create that will be the guest, the primary guest. So Ken Create will perform many things that they have not seen up there. It will go nationwide and locally as well. And they will interview Ken Create and get the true Ken Create story. And that's pretty much it. And then after they interviewed Morgan Paul and Ken Create, they finished up with more singing by Morgan Paul and performances at the same time, simultaneously by Ken Create. Anyway, that's what you missed. But I'm sure you will eventually get to see the video. And I want to thank them again for having us on. Now, you know, it was interesting. While Morgan Paul was singing, with their equipment, they did an overlay, and they did it so Morgan Paul was singing his ballads, which you like. I'm not really into ballads, but I think you like ballads. Okay. And at the same time, you see Ken Create in the background, like they superimposed, like Ken Create, almost like a ghost, was right, like, it's hard to say. You have to see it. It's hard to explain, but it was very fascinating and looked great, you know, seeing the way they blended the two. But anyway.
Did they have one or two or three cameras?
Oh, they had a bunch of cameras.
Well, then that's how they did it. You needed 2 cameras at least to do something like that.
Oh, yeah. They had great equipment there in the studio.
It's amazing.
And, yeah, it's amazing, and it looks really cool when you watch it on the screen. They had the TV monitors, and you could, and even by the entrance to the studio, you walk in, you can see the show on the TV monitor as it's being done live, and it's pretty good. But anyway, back to the articles.
The Pentagon got everything it asked for during a decade of 2 wars shadowed by the September 11th, 2001 terror attacks and the rise of Al-Qaeda. No more. Defense Secretary Leon Panetta and Joint Chiefs of Staff Admiral Mike Mullen acknowledged that reality Thursday, saying the military is resigned to budget cuts of around $350 billion over a decade. It's not a lot, is it? For 10 years?
No, it's not.
$350 billion over 10 years? No.
Nah.
We could cut $800 billion from it today. Today. To meet the public clamor for reducing the nation's debt. But they quickly warned that more than doubling those cuts along the lines of the doomsday mechanism spelled out in the new debt limit law would undermine the military. Here comes the scare. Here comes the scare now. If it would happen, oh God willing, that would not be the case. But if it did happen, it would result in a further round of very dangerous cuts across the board. Defense cuts that I believe would do real damage to our security.
Oh, sure.
Our troops and their families.
Bullshit.
And our military's ability to protect the nation.
Protect the nation?
Leon Panetta said.
The nation was never
over here, are they?
The nation was.
Where's our National Guard?
But where are the invasions? Where are the There's no occupation or threatened occupation of the United States. Our borders are not, lined with troops from other countries. Why? All the military has been doing is trying to colonize the world for oil, for profit.
For big business.
And war profiteering. Yeah. This country is not in danger except for,
from within.
Yeah, well,
within.
Al-Qaeda, Homeland Security,
no.
Prevention.
The real criminals and terrorists are from within.
You mean our leaders?
In the Republican Party.
Our leaders.
That's correct. And their enablers.
People are stupid. They don't see the reality of it. They don't see the reality of any of this. And hey, Obama could have pulled the troops out a while ago. He's another one. He's no angel.
Yeah, well, even him, he put 30,000 more troops into Afghanistan with a surge, and now he may pull out 30,000.
Okay, they got Osama bin Laden and they got Saddam Hussein and his sons. Okay, of course there will be a replacement continuously for Al Qaeda, for the leader of Al Qaeda. It'll go on and on and on. You know, everybody's jumping for joy. Oh, we found Osama bin Laden. Even though I feel it would have been proper to turn him over to his relatives' dead body.
But let Afghanistan handle that.
But they won't.
We don't need to be over there. Period.
Oh, you mean handle what? Al Qaeda?
Any kind of terror attacks, if that ever happens, but it won't.
Well,
but let them handle it.
Didn't the United States sufficiently help the supposedly a good Afghanistani?
There are no good Afghanistanis.
Government regime?
That's corrupt, totally corrupt.
So,
Karzai is totally corrupt.
So U.S. occupation is not going to help
Number one,
the region.
You have to understand what that region is. It's not a nation state. It's never been a nation state. It's tribes. It's tribal.
So nothing's going to change.
Nothing's going to change.
What about this supposed Caspian Sea pipeline that I've been hearing about?
Who knows?
You know that there's
but
oil.
That's not our business as far as the military is concerned.
Yeah. So what's the point of being there anymore?
There is none. And if you'll notice, if you ever see some video of attacks and things that take place there, you will see a very, very, very devastating tactic or strategy. As what happened in Vietnam, the strategy or tactic in Vietnam was called search and destroy, wherein they sent out a small contingent of military people to go search the villages or whatever to find the Viet Cong.
But they were tunneled. They were underground.
Wherever they were. But the point of that was that exposed those soldiers to being killed, to being knocked off.
Well, they used to come up from the ground, from tunnels, and shoot. You know, the ground a hole would open up, and the Viet Cong would pop up and shoot, bop, 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 and go back down in the tunnel again, right?
And now you will see in Afghanistan, which is a mountainous region, you will see that there will be a contingent of soldiers who are in hiding or in their bunkers or whatever they are, meaning the United States, and they will be down here and the foe will be up there. Now, any idiot understands that in a military situation, you occupy the high ground, not the enemy. You never allow the enemy to occupy the high ground. Why bother shooting from down below with mortars and guns and whatever when you can just call in the F-16 or whatever and it blows the top off the mountain?
Apache helicopters with missiles and the planes, and yeah, you always use your Air Force first and bomb the hell out of them and use satellites to find out where everything is.
Well, you know where they are because they're shooting at you.
Yeah, you don't use manpower, foot soldiers. You only use foot soldiers at the very, very end, after you bomb
the hell out of them,
and using all of
sweep up.
Yeah, you don't even send tanks until you finish with your airstrikes. That's what I would do.
Well, that ain't being done.
That ain't being done.
Okay, so which tells me
prolonged war.
Basically, when you get down to it, it's only to use up the weapons we have so that we can rebuild in the inventories. That's what it is.
Business.
That's it.
Big business.
That's it. Pure and simple.
Interesting. At the expense of the children of the little guy who gets sent over there. And of course they tell the kids at a high school, you know, live an adventurous life and see the world, join the military, get free education, free this, free that.
Long enough. You'll get $40,000 to go to college.
And then if you're lucky enough to come home alive from one of these war profiteering wars, then you find out that the VA hospitals, that your health plan is not nearly as good as you were told, right? And you end up being homeless, living in a tent or
under a bridge somewhere,
like a troll under a bridge, or sleeping in a car or something. Like one young African American lady from Southern California is sleeping in a rent-a-car, and others are in tents, and they're not being cared for. And then they got the nerve in Washington to talk about doing what's right to protect the military and their families.
It's all a bunch of bull. A bunch of bull, and our guys and girls are paying for it. With their limbs, with their brains, their bodies.
Young people their lives being ruined.
Absolutely.
Coming back with lost limbs and half their skull blown off and a loss of eyesight, and it's very devastatingly heartbreaking to see it, and all for the selfish greed, idolatry, the love of money by our corrupt, devil-led political leaders in this capitalist country of America, that you lemmings keep on voting for. All right.
Admiral Mullen, who has said repeatedly that the debt is the greatest national security threat, he said any cut on that order jeopardizes our ability to deal with the other very real and very serious threats we have around the world. Reflecting the widespread demand for fiscal austerity, the compromise debt deal struck by President Obama and congressional leaders this week will slice $250 billion from projected military spending over the next 10 years, and it leaves open the possibility of more than $500 billion in additional reductions. Defense spending, which has nearly doubled in the last decade, and who was in charge for the last 8 years?
G.W.
G.W. Bush. Anyway, it's not that is no longer untouchable in Washington. The Tea Party and fierce fiscal conservatives in Congress are more willing to include Pentagon dollars in their mix of budget cuts despite opposition from veteran defense hawks.
Instead of fiscal conservatives, they should call them fisting conservatives, because that's what they do to
the American people.
To you, the American people, mainstream, the little guy. They fist you
without lube,
up the ass with no lubrication. Fisting conservatives, not fiscal, because when the way they spend money. Oh, Donald Trump says liberal Democrats spend money like a drunken sailor. Oh, but Republicans don't spend money like a drunken sailor on the military and on Wall Street bailouts.
Just look at the last 8 years of Bush.
Welfare for the rich. Oh, that's not spending like a drunken sailor. Another selfish agenda when Donald Trump was making believe he was running for president. Another underlying selfish, egomaniacal agenda. Shame on you, stupid ass with the dopey orange Dennis the Menace cheap ass hairstyle. Donald Trump with all his money.
The death of Osama bin Laden, the diminished role of Al-Qaeda, and the winding down of wars in Iraq and Afghanistan have prompted some lawmakers to question the need for such robust military spending.
Yeah.
In sounding an alarm, Panetta is pressuring Democrats and Republicans to consider making concessions on their core priorities, entitlement programs such as Medicare and Social Security, defended by Democrats, and increases in taxes resisted by Republicans before taking a sharper knife to defense.
Huh.
Okay?
Unbelievable. Yes, I am a fan of South Park, as you can see.
Oh boy.
This is a new T-shirt that I
Oh
received.
boy.
One of my many birthday presents, because my birthday was August the 1st,
Oh.
otherwise known as August the 1st. And yes, South Park. Anyway, it's a cartoon for adults. It's very adult-oriented. It is not for children, even though the characters here are children. Anyway,
Once upon a time,
Once upon a time. Wow.
the sky above Earth may have held 2 moons.
Hey, that would be more light at night. Maybe conservatives, if we had 2 moons, conservatives would say, hey, do we need all these street lamps? Let's get rid of them because we have 2 moons.
Until they smashed into each other to create the lunar body we know today.
We know and love, yes.
Such a collision early in the solar system's history could explain why the moon is lopsided.
You know what? You're right. I have a lunar photo on our internet talk radio station, Megalife 21, and it is a little lopsided. Egg-shaped maybe? Oval?
And why its far side looks so different from the face we can see. According to a report in today's edition of the journal Nature. Round as it may seem from our vantage point, the moon in fact bulges on one side, the far side, which is packed with high, jagged mountains. That's a more severe surface than the smooth side we see, filled with basins of volcanic rock. The moon was formed about 4.5 billion years ago, after a Mars-sized body slammed into the molten Earth and flung a ring of debris into space.
Wow.
Much of that debris coalesced into a rocky satellite, which was roughed up by 500 million years later by a barrage of asteroids and other interplanetary material, leaving scars in the form of craters.
Yeah.
But at what point the moon became lopsided and how is still unclear. Some scientists speculated that the moon's internal dynamics pushed material around. Others wondered whether the mountains were created by debris ejected from a freshly smashed crater. Eric Ashfong, a planetary scientist at the University of California, Santa Cruz, had a different idea.
Yeah, what's his idea?
So Afong and colleague Martin Jutzi of the University of Bern in Switzerland designed a model in which a moonlet, about 1/3 as wide as the moon, maintained a stable orbit around the Earth for tens of millions of years, until it floated from its Lagrangian point into the moon's path. The moonlet would have crashed head-on with the larger lunar body, but the collision would have happened at relatively slow speeds. The rocky peaks on the far side of the moon are remnants of that impact. Huh?
Interesting. Interesting bit of
Trivia.
you know, space planetary trivia.
Science.
Science.
We honor science.
Yes, we are big on science and we are big on nature, environmental issues, and animals. We love animals. We have, like ASPCA projects and the compassion that is required to go with that. I want to say something about the green movement. I notice here in northeastern New Jersey, there are solar panels on every telephone pole now, in just about every town. Now, my question is, Dr. Bill, are these solar panels collecting solar energy for electricity conversion, are they helping to lower the overall electric bill of the homeowners, or is this electricity going right to the power company to be resold back to you?
I don't know if it has anything to do with that at all.
Because that wouldn't be very nice. What are they for? Or are they for illuminating the street?
Possible.
The street lamps, the halogen street lamps.
I would check in with some of the leaders of the city you're talking about.
I wonder what they're used for, this solar energy. It's a great concept to have solar panels in America. Unfortunately, if you're a homeowner, guess what? My friend, Iron Man Vinnie Blake, attempted to inquire about getting solar panels put on the roof of his house. And guess what? The town he lives in, Ridgefield Park, New Jersey, the corrupt bastard politicians wanted to raise his property tax just because he was going green, which is, he said, screw that, I'm not going green, screw green.
An improvement to the house, yeah.
Yeah, instead of making it easy for Americans and acceptable for American homeowners
and
to subsidize the little guy that owns a home that wants to take part in the green movement and put solar panels on the roof of his home. Oh no, they wanted to jack up his his property taxes, like almost like he had an in-grounds swimming pool. Penalize him for it. So he says, forget it, screw that, no way, I'm not going to do that. Now, and then there's, of course, they had a prototype, an office building in Germany that was all self-sufficient. It was all solar paneled, and I think it had a windmill, a wind generator, and I think it hit the water supply, the hot water heater was solar also. It was pretty good. I could picture these office buildings throughout the southwest of the United States and Florida and Puerto Rico. I can picture acres and acres and acres and many, 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 many acres of desert land in, I guess, was it southern Texas, western Texas, New Mexico,
Utah,
Arizona, Utah, the Mojave Desert of California,
Sonora.
Death Valley,
yeah.
Nevada,
Yeah.
some Nevada, the Mojave as it goes into the state of Nevada. Solar panels, acres and acres and acres and acres of solar panels. And in the Midwest, in certain areas where it's very windy, like let's say
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, the Plains states, or the Great Lakes region, maybe northern Indiana as it borders on Lake Michigan, and around the Great Lakes where it's very windy, like they say Chicago's the windy city. Anyway, have windmills. We have them in Atlantic City by the Borgata Hotel facing the Atlantic Ocean. Why not have them in the Midwest?
Northeast Maine.
What?
Northeast Maine and places like that. A lot of wind.
Northeastern Maine is very windy?
Oh, sure. By the ocean? Are you kidding
You
me?
mean going towards the maritime provinces of Canada, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island? The wind coming off the sea. And then you have these hydroelectric buoys that bob up and down in the ocean and create electricity. Then you have the Niagara Falls, the falls in Paterson, New Jersey, so on and so on and so on. Hydroelectric power. There you go.
But if you wait around for private industry to do these things, it won't happen. We understood that back with the TVA under FDR. The government has to do it.
You need big government to do this.
That's correct.
And this is the big, these are
But
one,
that's socialism.
but there are multitudes of benefits to the country and its people and the environment that where only big government can accomplish these things, not the private sector. Privatization never really worked, you know.
Well, it works for the corporations.
It works for the elitists.
Yeah.
It doesn't create jobs because don't forget your jobs are in mainland China now. They're being outsourced. But of course you'll believe the Tea Party lies. You know. For a last article, do we have anything?
A badly injured sea turtle
Oh God.
that
No.
underwent a year of rehabilitation and innovative surgeries was released Wednesday
I was hoping.
by caretakers.
I love sea turtles. I love animals, but I was hoping it would be another Washington article, but he's not reading it. Anyway,
I
go ahead.
hope because I'm reading something about nature.
I'm also. I love nature. Don't get me wrong, but the American people are getting reamed, man.
Yeah,
we're in trouble, man.
But the American people who are getting reamed, you cannot fight on their behalf. They have to get their asses out in the street.
The asses of the masses with torches and pitchforks.
That's correct.
So if the
You can
nincompoop,
only expose the problems for
so if the nincompoopies continue to vote conservative, there's nothing me or you can do to change that, except
giving out the information.
information. Get behind an independent candidate. If there's
Well, even those things aren't going to help. The whole system has to be changed. Now, I believe it is Colorado. Colorado, they are getting together a, I hate to say a third party, because that is not exactly what they're doing. But they are getting rid of Democrats and Republicans and independents and all of this other stuff. They're getting people that are going to do the job on behalf of the working person in America.
doing the right thing.
That's correct.
Simply doing the right thing. Take the money out of politics. Take politics out of politics.
There
Just
you go.
Do
There you go.
the right thing. Do the right thing for the good of the country, for mainstream. But anyway, all right, go ahead with the sea turtle.
Anyway, who hope he finds a mate and helps his endangered species prosper. Andre, as the 177-pound green sea turtle is known,
Yeah.
crawled into the water and swam out of sight before a crowd of hundreds of raucous supporters. He was near death when he was found split open and stranded last year.
Wow.
He has overcome obstacles, predators, food scarcities, cold winters, any number of things that may have ended his life, and he survived. He's really a miracle turtle. When Andre was found stranded on a sandbar on June 15, 2010, he had gaping holes in his shell, the result of 2 apparent boat strikes. More than 3 pounds of sand were inside him, along with at least a couple of crabs, a raging infection, and a collapsed lung. His spinal cord was exposed. Pneumonia was plaguing him, and death seemed certain. Any one of those injuries could have killed him, but his flippers were working, and his neurological function appeared normal. So after beachgoers pulled him ashore on a boogie board, veterinarians began what became a year-long effort to save him. To help remove fluid and other materials and close his wounds, doctors used a vacuum therapy system
To help close the gashes in the shell, Dr. Alberto Vargas, a local orthodontist, installed braces similar to those used on humans. And to fill in the gaping holes, doctors employed a procedure typically used to help regrow breast tissue in mastectomy patients and abdominal tissue in hernia patients.
Does that actually happen? Regrow breast tissues and
In mastectomy patients. All are believed to be animal firsts. An Andre supporter said, "The Herculean effort was well worth it."
Herculean effort.
When I read that about them patching his holes and things, it made me think of the Star Trek, the Horta. Remember the Horta?
Is that when Spock did the Vulcan mind meld?
Yes, but Bones patched them up with cement and mortar.
Spackled them like it's mortar, yeah, because of the composition of the Horta. Yeah, that's what it was. I still, speaking of the old Star Trek, I still say that William Shatner and Adam West should do a show together, possibly a comedy. You know, you got two hammy overactors.
Yes, but you
it'll
see,
it'll be so funny.
The difference between the United States and like Britain.
Yeah.
In Britain, you'll see a lot of older actors. In the United States, it's like 18 to 34, or maybe.
They don't want old or anything.
No.
They want to send you to the glue factory in the United
That's correct.
States. There's no respect for wisdom and age, and you know, it's a, you know, that's it. They don't want to target. Look. Let me put it this way. I'll give you an example. New York Yankees relief pitcher Mariano Rivera is over 40. The he's a relief pitcher. All right, he's not a starter, but he's one of the finest relief pitchers of all times, and he's still doing it. He's still pitching. He has not retired yet. As long as Mariano Rivera can still effectively do his job and get the Yankees out of trouble and you know and complete the game, the win, save the win, he shouldn't be retired. He should not be forced to retire if he can still do the job. Once he stops doing the job, that's another story. You know, I mean, he's over 40. Over 40, he's doing the job still. And Alex Rodriguez is much younger. Well, relatively younger, and he hasn't been doing well at all. And he's getting paid a lot more than Mariano Rivera. But see, there's proof. Just because you're dealing with chronological age, just because you have an older person who's established and is proven, still doing the job, still getting the job done and doing it well. And then you have a younger person who can't even compete with the older icon, so to speak. But in the United States, they just look at the age. Oh, this person's younger. Oh, you're ready for the glue factory. Oh yeah. We can't pay you. We can't pay you what
you don't have a pretty face.
Yeah, we can't pay you enough, you know, I mean, we can't pay you what you want because you're up in years. What if you're up in years and you're still socking home runs out of the park left and right? So what does that mean? You have to take a cut because you're older? But if in Asia, it's different, right? They respect,
supposedly they do, yeah.
You know, until they become poisoned by Western, you know, American concepts and ideas, but unfortunately, yeah, that's how it is. But, you know, there's a lot of older guys that, you know, especially those that still work out and take their vitamins and nutritional supplementation. And
like Bruno.
Bruno Sammartino is still pushing.
Another video that keep chopping up on me.
Still pushing the heavy irons, still doing powerlifting. Looks fantastic. And he's probably well into his hair. He's in his 70s. Well, Bruno always, because of genetics, always had progressively, you know, progressive hair loss. Bruno was losing his hair a long time ago. So yeah, it's genetics. So, but look, if you're going bald, until they find a definite cure for baldness, you're better off, maybe growing a mustache and a goatee and shaving your head, and taking on that look. If you have the proper shaped skull for that look, you can't look like a Q-tip or a pencil eraser. You got to have a nice round melon head, like Telly Savalas had, or Yul Brynner. These guys had ideal shaped skulls. Isaac Hayes, had good skulls.
Or that guy who played Hawk.
On
Spencer for Hire.
God rest his soul, Robert Urich, the late Robert Urich, Spencer for Hire, the tall African American gentleman, played Hawk. Perfect skull for a baldy. But if you look like a pencil or a Q-tip, it's not a good idea. But anyway, by the way, dihydrotestosterone is the culprit in male pattern baldness as well as enlarged prostate disorders. It is saw palmetto berry extract with hopefully with Pygium africanum. Dihydrotestosterone is the culprit, and to block that, you should take saw palmetto berry extract, a standardized extract. I like Nature's Way in the purple and white bottle, and that should help with male pattern baldness as well as benign prostate hyperplasia.
Benign prostatic hyperplasia.
Okay, and so, all right, now, thank you for joining us for discussions. This was a very invigorating discussions, and I just want to salute and dedicate this week's discussions to our new friends at Channel 23 Time Warner Cable, Port Jervis, New York, Benzie Promotions, Mr. Irwin Benz and his co-host Carl Richards Band.com and Benzie Promotions.com, and thank them for having us on their nationwide and local Time Warner Cable show. And I want to dedicate this show to them. And many more exciting projects to come in the future. Take care. Say so long to everybody.
Hasta la vista.